hi there students, welcome back to another video lesson. So for this video lesson, tatalakayin naman natin yung related lesson ng if-then statement. So on my previous video lesson, diniscuss ko po doon yung if-then statements, yung kung paano natin dinedetermine yung hypothesis and conclusion, wherein yung hypothesis is yung if clause and then yung conclusion naman is yung then clause. P implies Q. Okay, so for this video lesson, tatalakayin naman natin yung converse, inverse, and contrapositive of an if-then statement. So, minention ko din sa video lesson natin na if-then statement na pwede nating pag-ibahin ang pwesto ng hypothesis and conclusion. Okay? So, malalaman nyo dito kung paano ba nagkakaiba ang converse, inverse, and contrapositive. So for the lesson objectives, we will determine the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of an if-then statement. And then, we will also illustrate the equivalences of a statement at its contrapositive, and letter B, the converse and inverse of a statement. So let us have conditional statement. So a given conditional statement can create related sentences. These are converse, inverse, and contrapositive. So dun sa previous video lesson natin, ang diniscuss ko lang po doon is yung if-then statement. So dito, i-discuss natin yung mga related sentences na naka-create or na-form dun sa given conditional statement. So using converse, inverse, and contrapositive. So take note, for you to understand the difference between converse, inverse, and contrapositive, consider the table below. So para hindi po tayo nalilito kung ano ang kabaligtaran ng if-then, ng converse, ng inverse, ng contrapositive. So let us have the table below. So note, P is the hypothesis and Q is the conclusion. So hindi pa rin po naman nagbabago yan. So P is the hypothesis and Q is the conclusion. So ito yung ating mga statement. So yung if-then statement natin is P implies Q. So yung opposite po ng if-then statement is converse. So yung converse natin, kapag pinorm natin siya, so yung magiging if clause natin is yung conclusion, ito Q. And then, yung then clause naman natin is yung P. So, ibig sabihin, pagbabaliktarin lang po natin ang posisyon ng conclusion tsaka hypothesis. And then, sa inverse naman, ito siya. So, as you can see, meron tayong symbol dyan. So, negation symbol po yan. Ibig sabihin, gagawin nating negative yung statement. So, yung if-then statement, lalagyan po natin ng mga negative words like not, cannot, do not. Okay, so ayan. And then, yung kabaliktaran ng inverse is yung contrapositive. So, babaliktarin lang po natin yan. So, ibig sabihin, ang magka-partner po is yung if-then tsaka converse. And then, inverse, contrapositive. So, consider this para mas maintindihan natin yung related sentences. We will use the sentence below to determine the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of an if-then statement. So, gagamit lang po ako ng isang statement para i-illustrate ang converse, inverse, and contrapositive ng if-then statement na yon. So, yung statement natin is, if a number is divisible by 3, then it is odd. Okay, so dito, yung if clause natin, ayan, a number is divisible by 3. So, yun po ang nagsisilbing hypothesis. And then it is odd. Yan po naman ang nagsisilbing conclusion. So, kung isusulat natin yung implication, P implies Q. Again, yung P po dyan is yung hypothesis. And then Q, yun namang conclusion. So, how do we transform an if-then statement to a converse statement? So in order to form the converse of a conditional statement, the position of the hypothesis and the conclusion must be interchanged. So sa madaling salita, pagpapalitin lang po natin ang posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion. That is, from P implies Q, it will become Q implies P. Okay, so yan lang po yung pag-transform ng if-then to converse statement. So let us have an example. So consider the statement, if a number is divisible by 3, then it is odd. So kung yung number daw na yon, a particular number, ay pwede nating i-divide sa 3, then yung number down na yon ay isang odd number. So an odd number, ito po yung mga numbers na nag-end sa 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then when we talk about even numbers, ito naman nag-end sa 2, 4, 6, 8, and 0. So let us identify the hypothesis. So the hypothesis of the given statement is a number is divisible by 3. And then the conclusion is it is odd. Okay. So how do we transform the given conditional statement to its converse statement? So pagpapalitin lang po natin ang posisyon ng conclusion at saka hypothesis. So magiging if a number is odd, then it is divisible by 3. Okay, so yung a number is divisible by 3, nandun po siya sa hulihan. Okay, and then yung it is odd naman, nasa unahan. So, tatandaan natin, yung conditional statement or if-then statement, P implies Q siya. And then kapag naging converse statement na, magiging Q implies P. So, pagbabaliktarin lang po natin ang posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion. So, how do we transform an if-then statement to its inverse statement? So, in order to form the inverse of a conditional statement, insert negation words like no, not, cannot, do not to both hypothesis and conclusion. With this, the statement will become negative. So, hindi po natin pagpapalitin ang posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion. Rather, we will add negation words like no, not, cannot, do not. And then, syempre, pag dinagyan natin ng mga negation words na yon, ang ating conditional statement ay magiging negative. So, that is P implies Q to negation P implies negation Q. So let us have the previous statement. If a number is divisible by 3, then it is odd. So our hypothesis will be a number is divisible by 3. So ito po yun yung nasa unahan. So yung if clause. And then yung then clause naman natin ang magsisilbing conclusion. And then yung inverse statement natin is magdadagdag lang po tayo ng negation word dun sa hypothesis and conclusion. So, for this statement, we'll add not. Okay, so yan po yung not. Nakikita po natin to both hypothesis and conclusion. So, magiging, if a number is not divisible by 3, then it is not odd. So, yan po yung kanyang inverse statement. And then, yung pinakahuli naman, so, how do we transform an if-then statement to its contrapositive statement? So in order to form the contrapositive of a conditional statement, the position of the hypothesis and the conclusion of the inverse statement must be interchanged. So inverse statement po natin, meron po silang negation words. So sa if clause tsaka then clause, meron po tayong makikitang negation words like no, not, cannot, do not. So ang gagawin po natin para ma-transform sa contrapositive is pagpapalitin po natin yung posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion ng inverse statement. That is, negation P implies Q, implies negation Q to negation Q implies negation P. So let us have the statement. If a number is divisible by 3, then it is odd. So, yung inverse statement po ng ating conditional statement is, if a number is not divisible by 3, then it is not odd. So, makikita po natin yung mga negation words. Ayan, not. So, pagbabalik rin lang po natin ang posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion ng inverse statement. So, magiging, if a number is not odd, then it is not divisible by 3. So, basically, dito sa inverse statement natin, ang hypothesis is a number is not divisible by 3. And then, the conclusion is, it is not odd. Therefore, yung contrapositive natin, ayan, if a number is not odd, then it is not divisible by 3. So, take note, if the if-then statement is true, then the contrapositive is also logically true. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, kung ang given if-then statement natin, conditional statement natin ay true, and then tinransform natin siya into its contrapositive statement, yung equivalent niya na contrapositive statement, so true din po yun. So, like for example, if a polygon is a pentagon, then it has 5 sides. So, yun po yung ating if-then statement. So, tanging ang pentagon lamang po ang polygon na merong 5 sides. So, kapag 5 sides na po yung ating given figure, yung ating polygon, that is pentagon. So, this is true. And then, kapag kinuha natin yung contrapositive niya, if a polygon does not have 5 sides, then it is not a pentagon. So, yung ating conditional statement, yung if-then natin is P implies Q. And then, yung ating contrapositive naman is negation Q implies negation P. So, pagbabalik rin po natin ang posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion. As you can see, ayan, nakabaligtad po. And then, lalagyan po natin ng negation word. So, dito ang ginamit nating negation word is not. Okay, so, kung ito po, yung if-then statement natin is true, ang contrapositive natin is also true. So, kung i-analyze natin siya, if a polygon does not have 5 sides, then it is not a pentagon. Tama nga naman. So, kung yung given polygon, hindi siya 5-sided, therefore, hindi po siya considered as pentagon. So, after natin sa if-then statement and contrapositive, so let us have converse and inverse statements. So, dito naman, if the converse statement is true, then the inverse statement is also logically true. So, given the statement, if a polygon is a pentagon, then it has 5 sides. So, ito po yung ating if-then statement. Hindi po yan yung ating converse statement. So, yung converse statement natin will be, if a polygon has 5 sides, then it is a pentagon. As you can see, we interchange the position of the hypothesis and the conclusion. Okay. So, anong gagawin natin sa inverse niya? So, ang gagawin po natin doon is, pagpapalitin po natin ang posisyon ng hypothesis and conclusion at the same time, lalagyan po natin ng negation word. That will make the statement negative. So, i-analyze natin ngayon kung pareho ba silang true. So, dito tayo sa converse. If a polygon has 5 sides, then it is a pentagon. So, kung yung given polygon daw ay mayroong 5 sides, okay? So, ang tawag po doon is pentagon. So, this is true. So, ang converse po is Q implies P. So, binaligtad ang hypothesis and conclusion. And then, yung inverse statement naman natin is, if a polygon is not a pentagon, then it does not have 5 sides. So, kung yung given polygon natin ay hindi isang pentagon, natural, wala po siyang 5 sides. So, this is also true. So, ito naman, ang gagawin natin dito, negation P implies negation Q. As you can see, meron tayong mga negation words na nilagay. So, for the activity, transform the conditional statement into its converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Then, determine if each statement is true or false. So, isusulat natin, ito-transform natin yung given conditional statement sa kanyang equivalent converse, inverse, and contrapositive. After that, i-analyze natin kung yung given statement na yon is true or false. So, ayan. Yung first statement natin, if today is Saturday, then tomorrow is Sunday. So, kung ang araw daw ngayon ay Sabado, bukas ay Linggo. So, our if-then statement is true. Ibig sabihin, kung yung ating if-then statement ay true, yung kanyang contrapositive statement is also true. So, ano naman ang kanyang converse statement? So, babaliktarin lang natin ang hypothesis and conclusion. So, that will become, if tomorrow is Sunday, then today is Saturday. So, kung bukas ay Linggo, ngayon ay Sabado. So, this is also true. So, kung yung ating converse statement is true, same with its inverse statement. So, yung inverse statement naman po is, if today is not Saturday, then tomorrow is not Sunday. So, ibig sabihin lang po yan, kung ang araw ngayon ay hindi Sabado, malamang bukas hindi rin Linggo. Okay, so this is also true. So, ayan, yung converse statement natin is true, same with our inverse statement. Next, yung contrapositive statement natin, kailangan maging true din. It's because yung ating if-then statement is also true. So, our contrapositive statement will be, if tomorrow is not Sunday, then today is not Saturday. Okay, so, if tomorrow is not Sunday, so kung bukas ay hindi Linggo, ngayon ay hindi Sabado. So, this is also a true statement. It's because yung if-then statement niya is true. Kaya logically true din po yung contrapositive. So, our second statement, if an animal can fly, then it is a bird. So, ibig sabihin lang po niyan, so kung ang isang hayop ay nakakalipad, may ituring siyang ibon. So, this is a false statement. It's because may mga hayop po tayo na hindi naman sila birds pero nakakalipad. Okay, like for example, yung mga insects. Ayan, yung paniki. So, let us have the converse statement. So, yung converse statement niya, pagpapalitin natin yung hypothesis and conclusion, if an animal is a bird, then it can fly. So, kung ang isang hayop ay ibon, ibig sabihin, nakakalipad ito. So, this is also a false statement. So, bakit siya naging false statement? It's because may mga ibon po kasi tayo na considered sila na ibon pero hindi sila nakakalipad. Like for example, yung mga penguins. Next, yung inverse statement naman, if an animal cannot fly, then it is not a bird. Okay, this is also a false statement. Next, yung contrapositive naman niya, if an animal is not a bird, then it cannot fly. So, since yung ating if-then statement is false, automatically po, yung ating contrapositive statement is also false. So, if an animal is not a bird, then it cannot fly. So, kung yung isang hayop ay hindi isang ibon, hindi siya nakakalipad. So, this is also a false statement. So, let us have our last statement. So, if the sum of the interior angles of a polygon is 180 degrees, then the polygon is a triangle. So, yung interior angles, ito po yung mga angles na nasa loob ng isang polygon. So, yung sum ng interior angles ng polygon ay 180, kaya yung polygon ay maituturing na triangle. So, this is a true statement. So, determine lang yung sum of the interior angles gamit ang formulang n-2. So, the quantity n-2 times 180. Okay, so 180, solve natin para makita nyo. 180 times n. So, where n is the number of sides. So, 3 ang sides ng triangle. So, 3 minus 2, that is 1. So, 180 times 1 is 180 degrees. So, ayan po, tama na ang sum ng interior angles ng isang triangle ay 180. Next, yung converse statement naman niya, If a polygon is a triangle, then the sum of its interior angles is 180 degrees. Okay, so kung yung ating given polygon daw ay triangle, ang kanyang mga interior angles may sum na 180 degrees. So this is also a true statement. So what about its inverse? So if the sum of the interior angles of a polygon is not 180 degrees, then the polygon is not a triangle. So kung yung sum ng interior angles ng polygon, na given polygon ay hindi 180, malamang hindi po triangle yung given polygon. So this is also a true statement. And then yung contrapositive statement naman niya, if a polygon is not a triangle, then the sum of its interior angles is not 180 degrees. So kung yung given polygon po natin ay hindi naman po triangle, malamang din na yung sum of its interior angles ay hindi rin 180 degrees. So this is also a true statement. So up next, so i-discuss po natin is inductive and deductive reasoning. So minsan, hindi naman tayo aware na inductive reasoning na pala yun o kaya deductive reasoning. So minsan na-apply natin, hindi naman natin alam na yun pala yun. So i-discuss ko sa video lesson na yan kung ano ang difference ng dalawang types of reasoning na yan. So yun lang, maraming salamat.